Hello again, and welcome back to the channel. I am joined by Callum again. How are you, Callum?
I'm good, brother.
UFC 279, done and dusted. In this video, we'll be talking about the co-main event and the fiasco behind that, which was Khamzat Chimaev versus Kevin Holland at catch weight at 180 pounds. If you want to see what we spoke about in the main event, check that out on the other video on the channel. But Callum, oh my days, talk about the fiasco that was the fight week leading up to this event.
So the lead up to the event was wild. Obviously, there was an altercation between these two in the backstage area between Holland and Chimaev. That was the catalyst for everything. We know what Holland's like. He will fight anyone. He's not a guy who just says it. He's proven it. He'll fight anyone. Khamzat is a guy who will fight anyone. You get two bulls together, they're going to clash heads. And I think that's what we saw. And it culminated because of Khamzat's unprofessionalism. I mean, it came out as you told me actually that the coach was the one that actually stopped the weight cut, which for me is even worse because it means poor planning from the very beginning. You don't cut weight in the last week. Cutting weight is a gradual thing. You water load and then you cut the main weight at the end, but you have to diet throughout the camp, and obviously that didn't happen. And then Nate fights off. Holland heroically steps up and says, yeah, I'll still take the fight. Does everyone at UFC a favor.
No, Leach does the favor.
Yes, sorry, you're right. Yeah.
Leach does the biggest favor.
Yeah,
because
he had to fight Daniel Rodriguez at a 10-pound deficit.
Exactly.
It's crazy. But yeah, Holland does a massive favor. You're right. Leach does the biggest favor. Holland still does a massive favor, and we saw the fight.
Yeah, saw the fight, and before that, like the press conference got cancelled. Dana's never cancelled the press conference.
Never.
Ever. And considering the feuds they've had over the years, you've had Khabib McGregor. You've
Jones
had
DC.
Jones DC. You've had even Colby Usman backstage.
Yeah. Liddell and Tito Ortiz. Tito Ortiz and Ken Shamrock going way back.
Probably Brock and probably Frank Mir were probably beefing in the back.
Yeah.
And the fact that this was the one that called it all off, and let's be honest, we saw the footage.
Yeah.
Come on, that's pathetic.
It wasn't crazy to me.
It was pathetic.
Yeah, it wasn't.
That wasn't a brawl. That was just, you needed more security. But then Dana said, like, when they do the press conference, there's a skeleton crew.
Yeah.
And obviously, with the weigh-ins, they've got all the security. Forgot even Colby Masvidal.
Yes.
As well. And managed to keep that apart. Dustin McGregor.
Conor Poirier. Yeah. Conor Poirier. Yeah.
And even McGregor Aldo.
Yeah.
Just any McGregor main event when he's been.
Yeah. McGregor Nate.
Pardon?
McGregor and Nate. The water throwing incident and all that as well.
Oh my days, yeah.
Seen it all.
And absolute savage. And let's be honest, the fight went the way that we pretty much expected it, wasn't it? There was no surprises.
Nah, there was a surprise for me. I can't lie. I thought Khamzat would win. Did not think it would be like this though.
He got mauled.
Bro, it worked. Like, he took no hits. Like, I'll be honest, my little one's 3 years old. If we went in the garden and had a little play fight, he's gonna hit me at least once.
You're leaving
Khamzat didn't get hit once. He didn't get hit once.
Crazy. I think apart from the Gilbert fight, he's only absorbed one significant strike. Two.
Which is ridiculous.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And
in 5 fights, he's absorbed 2 significant strikes.
Obviously, that shows how good Gilbert Burns is.
So I've got a little theory on that. Not to go off on a tangent.
Okay.
He didn't fight Gilbert Burns like he normally fights. He went in there trying to prove a point, which is why he fought the way he did. I think if they rematch, we could see a situation where he barely gets touched by Gilbert.
Ooh.
And that's no, like Gilbert's my guy. I rate Gilbert highly, but
Elite.
Khamzat's just a different beast at the moment.
It's a whole nother ball game.
Oh, another ball game.
And like, shout out to Kevin Holland as well. Like, he took the fight on short notice. Hopefully he got compensated as well for taking a fight on short notice, 24 hours notice. Let's start with Kevin before we talk about Khamzat. What's next for him? What's next for What's next for Kevin? Does he fight
So
at 70?
Kevin looked like he was carrying a bit of a shoulder injury. I'm hoping that's nothing serious. That was just a case of the time of the fight. I think Kevin Holland continues at 170.
Looks good at 170.
He does. He looks good at 170. His last fight was against
Tim Means,
and again got a submission win. I'd like to see him fight someone in the top 15.
Well, speaking of the top 15, he did call out Wonder Boy, as we spoke about in
I don't know if I want the Wonder Boy fight. I wouldn't mind seeing him versus Chiesa.
The thing I was worried about that is the grappling. Obviously, get Holland Jiu-Jitsu
is brilliant.
Belt. It's just that wrestling.
But that's why I would like to see it, because Chiesa's very good at wrestling, etc. But you wouldn't. He's not a speed merchant when it comes to the wrestling. Like Khamzat, he gets to double or single legs so quickly. It's unreal. Like, I haven't seen speed like that for a long time. Chiesa's more of he'll cut your options down. He'll cut off the cage and then he'll grapple. And I think that would be a good test for Holland.
Personally, I'd like to see Daniel Rodriguez, the fight that he was supposed to have at 170.
I mean, besides cut even the Leech. I'd take Kevin Holland versus the Leech.
That's still a banger fight, though. That's still a banger
I'd take that.
I think
because I had the Leech beat Rodriguez.
Oh my god!
Well, we both did, to be fair, on the night.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, 100%. I'd take that.
I do believe that obviously will Kevin Holland win a title in the UFC? Probably not. He could even win a BMF belt, doubt it. But he's going to have fun fights, and there are plenty of, I wouldn't say dream fights, but definitely fan favorite matchups that he could have at either 85 or 70. That's going to get us up our feet.
Yeah, agreed.
There's plenty of fights, and
he's the new Cerrone.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyone that you'd like him to fight next? Is there one guy that you're the matchmaker going Kevin Holland versus?
I'm gonna go Leech,
and I'm gonna go Kevin Holland versus Tony Ferguson.
Nice, I like that.
This is great. And now, flipping over to the other side, Khamzat wins. Calls out everybody, says he's gonna
kill everybody.
Where's next for him? Because obviously, you mentioned it.
Yeah,
the coach stopped the weight cut, not the doctors, so we can chuck that away because that didn't happen. If I'm
kind of disappointed in the UFC that they went with that narrative, because I think that protected Khamzat, and I think that was calculated by the organization.
Because he should have just said he didn't bother to cut weight. For me, missing out by a pound or two is you probably had a bad cut.
Yeah.
You missed out by 10 nearly.
You didn't cut.
You didn't even bother to attempt.
Yeah, you didn't do it.
To cut weight. And this was his first main event. Pay-per-view main event.
Yeah. That being said, though, Romero, Costa, Figgy, we've seen fighters miss weight and still get a title shot or fight.
They always give you another chance.
Yes, and I think that's fair. I think everyone deserves one chance. This was bad. Don't get me wrong. This was really bad.
Unprofessional.
But he deserves a chance. So, I've said this to you off air. I think Khamzat goes for this 85-pound belt before he goes for the 70-pound belt. And let me explain. Edwards and Usman is going to happen next year, I reckon, maybe around March. So that title's tied up because that fight's got to happen. The fighters have got to heal, and you don't make another match for maybe 3-4 months.
Agreed.
Izzy's fighting
November.
Pereira in November. If Izzy wins that fight and Khamzat fights before the end of the year, which I predict he will, I think you said he'll fight on 282 along with Till. Their timelines match up very well. So you'd have one fight finished in November, one in December. They could effectively go in April, or I reckon April's more achievable.
Could you imagine if it was my birthday weekend?
Aye, that would be all right.
Yo.
So that could be April for the 85-pound belt if Israel's still the champion. Israel and Khamzat for 85. If Khamzat wins that, or if he loses, he fights the 70-pound champion International Fight Week, July.
Do you think you'd give him a title shot at 70 if he loses at 85?
There's no one else for Usman or Leon to fight. If it's Leon, you could make a case for Colby. But no, in fact, you can't, because Colby hasn't fought since the loss to Usman. You can't just give him a title shot without a win.
No, he's not fought since his win against Masvidal.
So, oh yes, you're right. It's Masvidal.
Yeah, again, he needs to fight.
Colby could get it. Either if Burns and Masvidal fight. Do you know? In fact, we'll do a separate one for Leon, because if Leon beats Usman, there's a lot of options for Leon. But let's say Usman wins, unfortunately, and let's say Khamzat beats Israel. International Fight Week, Usman versus Khamzat with a 70
That'd be at 85 or 70. Because Usman said that he'd fight at 85 if Izzy was not the champ.
I think 70.
And then could do a rematch at 85.
Aha.
Money. We're printing money here.
Exactly. And then if Khamzat wins at 70 and 85, he goes.
This is the roguish shout of them all, by the way.
Yeah, he goes for 205.
Becomes the first triple champ.
But I think Khamzat definitely goes for 85. I think he fights someone in 85-pound division next. Yeah. I think it could be Cannonier or Vittori.
All right.
I don't think Whitaker fights again this side of the year.
I think it'll be someone else. Because it's pretty much confirmed. His manager's confirmed that his next fight's going to be at middleweight towards the end of the year. But for me, there's already a narrative there, and the UFC are big on storylines. Interaction with a certain Brazilian Paulo Costa in the PI. Paulo Costa was in the crowd as well. For me, that's the fight they're going to go with at UFC 282. It's going to be Khamzat versus Paulo Costa.
See, I tend to agree with you, but I'm hearing Costa's got an injury. And after that performance, I mean, if Costa saw that performance at the weekend, then you know yeah. Well, not even just that. You can't come in any less than 100% against Khamzat. So is Costa is he gonna risk that?
Okay. Yeah. True.
But if he's injury free, or it's a little injury, then yeah, that's the fight.
Yeah, that's the fight. It makes perfect sense.
Oh, definitely.
Money wise, depending who's the main event and who's the co-main event, you could give it a 5-round co-main.
Yeah.
Possibly. Or you leave it for a fight night and you headline it in an arena, not at the bloody Apex, please.
Yeah.
I'm fed up of seeing Apex cards.
Yeah.
Again, because it sucks the life out of it, which is not great. So I do believe that I sort of do agree with you. It makes more sense to go after the 85 belt at the moment. And when you look online at Twitter, Izzy's face when he saw Chimaev dominate Holland, he's thinking, when's the next plane to Dagestan? So I need to improve my wrestling.
Let's wrestle.
Yeah, let's wrestle, kid, because you're going to need it, because he's going to get mauled if he's not careful. So I do think that we could see him fight for the 85 belt towards next year, or depending on how the main event goes, because if Pereira wins, we're probably going to see another fight between them. If Izzy doesn't get KO'd, then I could see him cutting back down to 70 to fight a number one contender.
I don't think anyone fights him in the seven. I don't think Colby fights him, and that's the only fight really. It's Colby.
Unless the UFC want to pull the trigger on Shavkat versus Khamzat, which for me,
no, too early.
You want that later on.
Yeah, there's still, and it's weird we say that because this is something you'd usually say with boxing. But Shavkat, maybe I think he needs a breakout fight in the 70-pound division.
I think he got that. Oh, who did he finished? Is it Neil Magny? Shavkat?
Yes.
Yeah, so he needs another guy. But yeah, again, he's got the same problem. No one wants to fight him.
So I would go Shavkat and Jeff Neal.
Yeah, that's what makes logical sense.
Especially after Jeff Neal's last performance. If Shavkat can go in there and shut down Jeff Neal, who barely get, I can't think of Jeff Neal actually getting finished in UFC. Then I think you're in a position where you're like, yeah, now we've got a superstar.
But for Khamzat, for me, he gets one more chance. If he misses weight like that against,
that's it. It's off the table.
Dana, you're saying you're staying at 85 and don't bother calling me saying I'm ready to cut down to 70 because you fool me once, you fool me twice.
Yeah,
shame on me.
Yeah, agreed.
So we definitely agree he's definitely fighting towards the end of the year.
Yeah,
you're matching him up. One guy, it's not two. I'm giving you one.
Yeah, I think you swayed my mind. If Costa's injury free, Paulo Costa.
Exactly, same here. It makes sense money wise. Get him on the same card as Till. It makes sense for me. When UFC gets a storyline and it's perfect, it's perfect.
Yeah, just do it.
And for me, it's perfect. Yeah, and that's it for the video, everyone. Massive thanks for Callum for hopping on as always.
Always a pleasure.
Legend. Make sure everyone to subscribe to Team Coppish for all the good Liverpool content on the road to 30k, and of course hit the subscribe button for the Sanderson Show. And if you want to see our lovely mugs doing a watch along, you make sure you subscribe over there. Callum, anything coming up on Coppish and the Sanderson Show?
Coppish, we've just got we got the watch alongs for the games after the postponements and stuff. When that's done, we've got Champions League games, some fun stuff coming out in the next month or two, which should be very fun. A few little challenges here and there we do with each other. A Sanderson Show, obviously doing content with yourself and doing a few little mini docs and mini series as well. So yeah, it's keeping busy, man.
Got something. We might have something brewing for 280.
280's looking. 280's. We're gonna have as much of a stat card for 280 as they're gonna have a stat card. The UFC.
Exactly. So. Yeah. Do you see that? The little sauce. I'm just seeing the sauce on there. Yeah. So everyone, make sure that you tune in over there. Content on this channel. I might do a preview for Song Yudong versus Sanhagen because that's coming up this weekend. So I might do a little preview about how Sanhagen can get back in the win column, or can Song Yudong sort of break into the top 5. So I should be doing a video on that possibly on Thursday. That will come out on Thursday. Yes. So everyone that's watching, make sure to hit the like, share, and subscribe button. Let's try and get myself to 100k, and let's get Sanderson Show to 1,000 subs and get Coppish to 30,000. And until then, we'll see you soon.
Take care, brother.
Take care.